It is July 1942, and the North African desert is pitch black.
A long line of 18 jeeps travels through the sand and rocks in silence.
At the front is Major David Stirling, guiding his small but fearless group of British Special Forces. Their objective is a vital German airfield, well behind enemy lines, at a distance of over 230 miles northwest of Cairo. Stirling has absolute trust in his men. However, with each passing hour, a small degree of anxiety starts creeping in, and he begins looking around nervously and muttering to himself, saying, "Where's the airfield? It should be right here." Then, without any warning, the entire night comes alive. Hundreds of bright runway lights flicker to life. For a brief second, Stirling believes they've been spotted. His stomach falls, but in an instant, the rumble of airplane engines penetrates the night. It's not an alarm system. It's a Luftwaffe plane landing at exactly the place they are about to make an impact. To Stirling's left sit two SAS legends, Captain Paddy Mayne, grinning as he looks at the glowing runway, and says softly, "Ah, she's a beautiful sight, sir." Beside him is Lieutenant Carol Mather. On Stirling's right is the French SAS unit, led by the eager young Aspirant André Zirnheld, waiting for the word to go. Stirling gives a quick nod. "Time to go to work, boys." The men swing into position behind their mounted guns, each jeep fitted with twin Vickers K.303 machine guns, one set up front and one in the back. Everyone signals ready. Stirling takes a breath, then shouts the famous words, "Who dares wins."
Engines roar to life.
The jeeps surge forward across the dark desert, kicking up soft clouds of sand as they charge straight toward the lights. About 800 meters out, the loose column tightens into a perfect line. Stirling's jeep rides right in the center, with Zirnheld and the others fanned out on either side like the point of an arrow. Then, just as one of the men who was there, Stephen Hastings, later remembered it, first there's a single cautious burst, and then the full thunder of 68 machine guns opens up at once.
The jeeps shake and rattle from the recoil. The twin Vickers pour out bullets at 1,000 rounds a minute.
That means roughly 34,000 rounds streak across the lit-up runway every single minute, ripping into anything in their path. From the German side, it must have looked like a solid wall of fire and noise rushing toward them. Red and white tracer rounds zip through the dark, punching holes in metal and canvas.
Incendiary bullets spark and set planes ablaze. It's terrifying.
The incoming Ju-52 sees the tracers flashing toward it, but it's already too low, already committed. The pilot has no choice. He touches down right in the middle of the madness.
The moment the transport S wheels hit the ground, German defenders kill the runway lights. Everything plunges back into darkness.
The SAS stop firing for a moment. But this is only the opening move. Stirling pulls out his flare gun and fires. A bright green flare arcs high overhead, bathing the desert in an eerie glow.
"Forward," he shouts.
The jeeps race onto the airfield. Stirling leads the way, Zirnheld right behind, the rest falling into two tight columns, each line about 15 feet apart. Together they form a deadly arrowhead rolling straight down the runway.
The guns roar again. Stuka Dive bombers disintegrate in flashes of flame.
Bf-109 fighters are torn apart next. Nothing is spared. Ju-88s, Bf-110s, more Ju-52s, the best aircraft the Luftwaffe has in the desert, go up in smoke one after another. For the German troops on the ground, it's pure chaos. They're caught completely by surprise.
Some men, in panic, crawl under the parked planes for cover.
That turns out to be a terrible choice. The crew of the freshly landed Ju-52 frantically switches off their cockpit lights and kills the engines, hoping to blend in with the wrecks. But there's no hiding. The jeeps creep along at just 2.5 miles an hour, barely faster than a brisk walk, methodically working their way down the entire length of the runway.
No one stops them.
Behind them they leave burning aircraft and stunned survivors. At the far end, the convoy swings onto the taxiway where even more planes sit waiting. Stirling raises his hand.
The column halts.
He quickly counts heads. Every jeep is still there.
Good.
He drops his arm, and they roll forward again, guns ready for round two. But that brief pause gives the Germans a precious moment to pull themselves together. A handful of soldiers sprint to a defensive spot. They grab a 20mm Breda anti-aircraft gun and a couple of portable mortars. One of them shouts desperately, "If we don't stop them, all is lost." A mortar round whistles overhead. It lands smack in the middle of the British formation, right between the jeeps, exploding in a shower of sand and shrapnel. It misses Zirnheld and the others by inches. Then the Breda guns and Italian cannons open up, firing wildly in every direction.
Bullets snap and whine just above the Commandos' heads.
The men duck as low as they can in their open jeeps while the storm of lead sweeps across them.
One gunner, Trooper John Robson, takes a direct hit.
He slumps forward over his machine gun, motionless. They have to silence that Breda, fast. Stirling yells over the roar to his gunner, Sergeant Johnny Cooper, get that gun. Johnny whirls his Vickers toward the Breda, ready to pour fire into it. But just then boom, a shell from the Breda smashes right through Stirling's Jeep. It tears past his knees by inches, close enough to feel the heat. The engine dies instantly. The Jeep grinds to a smoking stop.
Stirling stares at the dashboard. Why won't it go?
A voice from the back shouts back, "We haven't got an engine." Another Jeep screeches up beside them.
It's Robson's. Stirling climbs over and freezes.
There, slumped in the rear, is young trooper John Robson. The hit had been brutal. What little remained of his head rested against the barrel of his own machine gun.
The sight hits Stirling like a punch to the chest.
He swallows hard, then says quietly, "Go." The replacement Jeep surges forward and slips back into the moving column. All around them, the SAS guns are hammering the German position without mercy. Mortar shells keep dropping, thump thump thump, shaking the sand, throwing up clouds of dirt and jagged metal.
But the men don't flinch.
They keep firing, steady and fierce. The Breda gunners and the mortar teams can't stand up to it.
One by one they drop. The rest break and run, disappearing into the dark.
When the column reaches the end of the taxiway, Stirling gives 3 sharp blasts on his horn.
Everyone stops.
The Jeeps circle up around him.
"Switch off," he calls. Engines fall silent.
For the first time, the airfield is quiet, except for the crackle and pop of burning fuel. The night is lit by huge orange bonfires where proud Luftwaffe squadrons used to stand.
It feels almost peaceful, in a strange, terrible way.
Stirling looks around at the faces.
Everyone okay? From the French side, a quick OE.
From the British, a few tired yes. He lets out a slow breath. Robson is their only loss. It could have been so much worse. How much ammo have you got left? The answers come back one by one, half a drum.
1 drum. 2 drums. Plenty left. No sense stopping now. Stirling nods. All right.
We'll have one more pass over this side of the dispersal area, then we beat it. And watch out for those bloody Breda guns.
The engines cough back to life.
The Jeeps roll forward again, weaving through smoking wreckage. Twisted metal and burning canvas are everywhere. Then someone spots it, a Bf 109 fighter, still standing proud among the ruins.
They don't hesitate. The guns chatter.
In seconds, the fighter is reduced to scrap. At the far edge, Stirling lifts his flare gun one last time. This time it's red. The flare climbs and bursts, a scarlet signal, retreat. They're done, or so they think. But in that red glow, Paddy Mayne, never one to leave a job unfinished, spots something. An untouched Ju-52 transport, sitting quietly like it's waiting for him. Without a word, Paddy leaps out of his Jeep.
"Paddy," someone calls. He doesn't look back.
He grabs a bomb, runs to the plane, places it carefully on the wing, then jogs back.
"Come on, let us go." They peel away.
Behind them, the Ju-52 erupts in a bright fireball that lights up the whole desert. The Germans will be sending search planes soon. But the SAS have a plan. The Jeeps split into 4 smaller groups and scatter into the night. One group is led by Lieutenant Carroll Mather. They drive for hours under the stars. As the first gray light of dawn creeps over the horizon, they hear the familiar drone of engines.
Stukas.
Quickly, they nose the Jeeps into thick bushes, kill the engines, and cover what they can. Then they decide to cook breakfast, sausages sizzling, water bubbling for tea.
A little bit of normal life in the middle of nowhere.
They're just starting to relax when someone hisses, "Aircraft." A German dive bomber passes low overhead.
The men freeze.
Sweat beads on foreheads as it circles once, twice, then flies on.
A collective sigh.
They haven't been seen. Back to the sausages. But then another Stuka appears.
And another. And another. Mather whispers, "It's like a swarm of angry bees. 10, Luda, take cover."
12 men dive under the bushes and lie flat, hearts pounding. Meanwhile, the French group has worse luck. They're caught out in the open. They scramble to a small ridge for whatever cover it offers, but it's not much. Zirnheld lifts his eyes to the sky. 4 Stukas are coming straight for them.
"Don't move." Everyone freezes. "Take cover." Too late. The Stukas dive. Bullets hammer down in a storm of lead and flying sand.
At the same time, Stirling's group is far away, in a quiet patch of desert. They've found a moment of calm, so they use it to bury their fallen comrade, John Robson. They dig a shallow grave with care, then stand in a simple circle for a military farewell. Someone fashions a cross from empty ration cans and sets it at the head. The quiet words are just finishing when, again, the low growl of an engine.
They look up. Another Stuka is drifting across the sky.
They stand there frozen, their hearts thundering, and look straight up. Another Stuka is floating lazily across the sky, its black cross starkly clear on its side. For a long, dreadful moment, It seems as if the pilot's eyes are fixed directly on them. But the bomber does not dip its wings. It does not dive. It simply continues flying, the sound of its engine disappearing into the distance. Relief washes over the assembled group like a wave. They are still invisible. Meanwhile, with the French unit, things seem to be okay again momentarily. The Stukas are out of range again. The men take a deep breath again, checking each other. Everyone seems to be okay, no one wounded. They may have just made it through. Then the sound returns.
The Germans circle back.
The Stukas appear once again, wave upon wave, firing their guns for a few long minutes. Sand erupts in clouds around the ridge, bullets whizzing through the air.
At last, the planes run out of ammunition and turn away for good. The desert wind whispers through the stillness. And then, a slow, ragged breathing.
Second in command Francois Martin pushes himself up, dust caked on his face.
He looks around. It's bad.
2 of their 3 jeeps are smoking wrecks. And there on the ground lies André Zirnheld. He's been hit, once in the stomach, once in the shoulder.
Blood soaks his uniform.
The men rush over, gentle as they can be, and lift him into the last working jeep. They speed away, racing across the open sand, desperate to put distance between them and the sky. Night finally falls, cool and merciful after the heat of the day.
Lieutenant Carol Mather's group keeps pushing on through the darkness.
The men are bone-tired, throats raw from thirst, skin blistered and peeling from the sun. They're desperate. But they're still breathing. That counts for everything. It doesn't take them long to spot the markers. They roll into the rendezvous point just as the first stars brighten. Not long after, Paddy Mayne's unit pulls in too, lucky enough to have dodged the worst of the searches. Stirling's group, though, is having a harder time. The desert has turned against them as much as the enemy ever did. One jeep blows a tire on a sharp rock. No spare, no time. They strip what they can and pile everyone into the others. From here on, every mile feels like 10. Worse, the landmarks they memorized are nowhere in sight.
They're lost.
Water is almost gone.
Food is scraps.
Fuel is measured in teaspoons. If they don't find the rendezvous soon, the desert might claim them for good. They take a risk and travel by day, hoping to spot something familiar.
The sun beats down without pity. Still nothing.
Stirling stands in his jeep, staring at the endless, featureless sand, fighting down the dark thoughts that keep rising. He glances at the navigator. The man's calculations say they're on course.
They have to trust him. They have to keep going.
All day they crawl forward under that merciless sun.
Nothing looks right.
Then suddenly the ground drops away, a steep escarpment, a sheer cliff dropping into shadow. They're stuck. No way around, no way back without wasting fuel they don't have. The navigator jumps down and walks to the edge, scanning for any path, any break in the rock.
He stops.
His face lights up. Down below, tiny but unmistakable, are British jeeps.
Parked, waiting. The rendezvous point.
He spins around, waving both arms like a madman. We made it. Cheers ripple through the group. Quiet ones, tired ones but real. Stirling's men ease their way down and finally roll into camp on July 29th, 2 full days after the raid. But there's no celebration. The French are racing across the desert too, Francois Martin doing everything he can to keep Zirnheld alive. Pressure on the wounds, sips of precious water.
It's not enough. With every passing minute, Zirnheld grows paler.
His breaths come slower, shallower. His pulse flutters too fast, too weak. By the time the rendezvous point appears on the horizon, hope is gone. Zirnheld knows it. He reaches out, pulls Martin close, and whispers his last words. I am going to leave you.
I am at peace. Then he's gone.
David Stirling would later be awarded the Distinguished Service Order and the Order of the British Empire for his leadership that night. Just a few months after, L Detachment officially became the Special Air Service, the SAS we know today. While going through Zirnheld's belongings, Martin found a poem the young officer had written. It's known now as the Paratrooper's Prayer, and it remains the official poem of the French Airborne Forces. Soft pause, like taking a sip of coffee. And that's the story of the Sidi Haneish raid, one wild night that helped forge a legend. But wait, did you hear about the small tanks that took on German panzers? Click here and watch the story of when cockroaches hunted panzers.